To another episode of Q&A with Che. My guest here today is a longtime music industry veteran, very influential in the Chicago hip-hop scene, has a storied career, a storied journey, John Monopoly. He's going to show you, teach you, give you game, whatever you want to call it, how to be a young entrepreneur hustler. Not a hustler like a street hustler, but an industry hustler. You know what I mean? He's a lifelong career industry hustler. And we're going to hear from John today and hear his stories, some of his gems, his journey, his path. And we're going to find out some things I didn't even know about John today. Subscribe to Q&A with Che on the Himalaya app or wherever you consume your podcast. Welcome. Another episode of Q&A with Che. Got that 2020 vision.
Yeah.
2020 vision. I'm honored to have my first guest today, the man, the myth. Actually, when it comes to the music game in Chicago, he is a Chicago legend. He is part of the hip hop story coming out of Chicago. I'd like to introduce the one, the only, John Monopoly.
What up? What up, Che?
Pleasure to have you on Q&A with Che.
It's my pleasure being here, brother.
What I mean? One of my brothers from the industry.
Absolutely.
For those that don't know, because one of the things about Q&A is really for the youth. We're here to really inform and give insight to the youth. So many of the youth may not be familiar with your story. So let's start number one. Well, how'd you get your name?
How'd I get my name? I was managing a DJ producer named Twilight Tone in the late 90s.
Shout out to Tone.
Shout out to Tone.
Lamborghini Mercy.
That's right. And I was managing him and I got him on like two television shows which were popular in the late 90s. One was called Planet Groove and the other one was what was the BET show with it was the hip hop show.
Which one, The Basement?
The Basement.
Yeah.
So we got him on Basement and Planet Groove the same day and got him a check that same day. And he said, "You got so much game, I'm gonna call you Monopoly."
Who said that? Tone?
Tone said that.
Oh, so Tone?
Because Twilight Tone actually gave me the name.
Wow.
I think it was in like 98. And I was just like, yo, John Monopoly, that's the coolest name ever.
Yeah.
And I just started using it for my party promotion stuff and it stuck.
There you go.
There you go.
We're gonna backtrack because I wanna get into how you started, but it's 2020 now. What would you describe what you do? What would you describe your job title as, or your career title now? Because I want to go full circle. And go back.
Sure. My career title now would be facilitator and hustler, just in general.
Okay.
I work on a bunch of different projects. I'm doing some work with Kanye again, and he has the title of me a facilitator because it's not just one thing. I do some A&R stuff and some marketing stuff, but I'm really helping him kind of across the board. Helping with Sunday service, just helping to get stuff done. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I'm doing some stuff in the cannabis space and some stuff in the tech space. So just overall, just hustling, man. I'm just trying to make it make sense.
So almost now I'd almost call it an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's always been an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? I've always, even when I was working at different companies, I always had a side hustle. So I was always an entrepreneur, but now more than ever, I would say entrepreneur for sure.
I think I learned that too from my grandfather. My grandfather moved to Boston from Alabama, and he was working at General Electric, working on, I think, airplane engines or something like that, but always had another he had a catering business, he had a fence
He was
company.
a hustler.
Yeah, he was a hustler. So I think I learned that as well.
As most of us have to be,
Yeah. Let's because one of the things, not only artists from Chicago, but people from Chicago, music executives, Chicago is in your DNA. Like, one thing about people from Chicago, they from Chicago. They rep Chicago good. So let's backtrack to Chicago hip hop. How did you get started?
I got started, man, as a promoter. I saw this movie Crush Groove when I was maybe 11 or 12 years old.
Shout out to Russell.
Shout out to Russell and Rick, right? So I saw this movie, man, and I was like, yo, I want to do what they're doing, but in Chicago. But at the time, there were no labels or anything, so around 11 or 12, I got this idea that I was going to be a party promoter and then a concert promoter. And then I got an internship at Def Jam, ironically, when I was 15.
Yeah. But just that you were so early with that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was just, I
had no clue.
Yeah. I saw the movie, man, and it just messed me up, you know what I mean? Because I wanted to be like a lawyer or a doctor, something pretty traditional. And then I saw the film, and it completely turned my world upside down. And so, I started just as a promoter and just kind of gradually grew, doing internships and small jobs at labels in Chicago and going from there.
Okay, that's a dope. Once again, for the audience that don't know, the younger audience that generate, you were very instrumental in Kanye's career. And so first, how did you even meet him?
I met Kanye in 1990 through Lucian Watson, who was in a group that Kanye was in. Kanye's first rap group. A lot of people think Go Getters was the first group. That was the group that I kind of helped put out or whatever. But technically his first rap group was State of Mind.
Okay.
And Kanye had two guys.
Was he still in high school then?
Yeah. Well, yeah. He probably was like a freshman maybe.
Okay.
And freshman or maybe even 8th grade. Now that I think about
real
it,
young.
because Ye's 2 years behind me, and I want to say I met him when I was in my freshman and sophomore year. So Ye might not have even been in high school yet.
Okay.
But it was State of Mind. I met him through Lucian Watson, who is my brother, and Gene is my man too. That's family. So both of the guys in the group with him were friends with mine, and they were like, "Yo, you got to meet this kid who's in the group, who's making most of the beats." Because they were letting him rap. They liked how he rapped, but they loved his beats. And initially, that was kind of
how he got in the group.
Kind of how he got in the group, and kind of how he was moving at the time. You know what I mean? Everybody knew that he was the best producer. People were kind of like hesitant about the raps a little bit at first. Or they kind of hate on the raps at first.
And then, so you meet him. And then how did it go from State of Mind to Go Getters?
Okay, so, man, that's a good question because that's basically almost 10 years, because we put out, Go Getters didn't really come about until like 98. State of Mind was like 1990. So.
Yeah, 1990, I was like just out of high school. So,
right.
I'm older than all you.
You are. So how did Go Getters come from State of Mind? Go Getters came from his actual friends, like Aaron, Timmy G. Really though, these were guys, GLC. These were guys that were really his friends and like family. He had another name for them too. Before we called them the Outfit, we were calling them, I want to say 87th Street before we called them Go Getters, we were calling them 87th Street Outfit. But it was really like more so his clique, whereas the rap group State of Mind was like people he was friends with, but he kind of got put in the group.
Gotcha.
Whereas
Go Getters was really more his clique. Yeah,
it was more of like GLC is like his best friend forever. You know what I mean? So it's like it was more so organic growth.
Gotcha.
I guess you'd say.
All right. Now, how did you come in as manager, where you became in an official capacity?
I started managing him in maybe 91, maybe 90, 91.
And at that point, is it Kanye?
It was Kanye.
Or is it still Go Getters?
No, it wasn't Go Getters yet.
Okay.
It was really just me and Kanye trying to get our beats off, because at the time I was a producer too. Okay. And he liked my beats.
Oh, I didn't know you produced.
Yeah, I used to produce.
Okay.
But I wasn't dope as Kanye, but he liked my beats, and we started this production company called Numbskulls. And that was in like 91.
All right.
And
did you know No ID at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
I knew No ID from Derek Dudley and Common.
Okay.
And because I went to Faulkner. I knew them from grammar school, and then Derek Dudley I knew from very young, because our parents, I want to say, knew each other, and we were from the same neighborhood.
Okay. For those who don't know, Derek Dudley is Common's manager.
Correct.
Longtime friend of both of ours.
Long time. Yeah. What was the next question?
No, how did you become the Kanye's
Oh,
manager?
so when he decided that he really liked my beats, he was like, "Yo, or maybe I suggest that we started this production company together." And then I got to the point where I was like, "Look, you make the beats. I'm just gonna do the management and go hustle the beats," because I was going to New York in high school to like new music seminar and stuff like that, trying to politic. And I had already kind of made it up in my mind that because of the Crush Groove, that I wanted to be a business guy. I wanted to be Russell Simmons or Rick Rubin.
Gotcha.
I didn't necessarily have to be the producer. So it was more of a natural progression. It started from us doing beats together, and then it was just like, nah, you do the beats because I'm not nowhere close to dope as you.
Yeah,
but I'm a good businessman.
I'm gonna focus on this.
And I'm gonna focus on
Okay,
because
that's dope.
I had also by that time made the transition into like a very good promoter. I was making really good money in high school as a concert and hip hop party promoter. So it was like it just made sense.
The natural progression.
It was
Okay,
just natural. Yeah.
And definitely this is not a Kanye story. This is not a Kanye interview. I really didn't want to delve into your story. And
I got you.
And I'm even getting into the details. I didn't even know Manop was a producer.
Yeah, I was.
So moving forward, one of the reasons I wanted to delve into your history is I'm meeting a lot of young people, especially in the last 2, 3 years, 4 years, as I'm getting ready to embark on my journey as an entrepreneur. And I've been meeting a lot of the young people making moves in the game. You know what I mean? Hip hop always to me is still a youth game. You know what I mean? You can have your OGs that make some pivotal plays, a la P and Coach K and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But I still think it's the youth that generate, the Cole Bennett's of the world and some of the different young artists that are doing their own things, and what Tay Keith and his crew are doing, which are young college educated kids that are like building their own business and brands and so on and so forth. So I'm meeting more young John Monopolies than ever, where these kids are doing it all. You got a kid who's like, I went to school for graphic design, and then I've been studying marketing. It's like it's really impressive, some of these kids. So if you could speak to the 21-year-old self, and let's fast forward. Let's say John Monopoly 2020 was 21. What would you say to him? Who's just starting his career? You know what career trajectory you want to go in. You want to be a business person. What advice and tools would you tell himself to empower himself with?
It's never too young. It's never too young to start and hustle and to lay that groundwork. I remember being 21, and when I was 21, I started the biggest hip hop party in the city, which became like a legendary night at this club called Dragon Room. And at the time, it was everything. But I wish I could have had this conversation with the 21-year-old Manop and to tell me that, it wasn't enough. Yeah. I thought that living like I was and moving how I was, that it was just everything. Yeah. But it's such a tip of the iceberg. So I would say
what it could have been. Yeah.
Or what it could have been if I would have gone a little bit harder. And I do okay, but still, if I could have had the conversation with the 21-year-old me, I would have told me to go 10 times harder, because even though I was successful, it was really just a tip of the iceberg.
Tip of the iceberg of what it expected. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things I think about in retrospect. I met with this realtor I'm doing some business with earlier, and she said the same thing to me. She said, if you could go back to you, she was like, what would you? Oh, I was like, I'd have bought this condo in Dumbo with my first money, and I was in Dumbo renting, and I could have bought the condo. You know what I mean? The same Jay-Z line, Dumbo. Jay-Z line. You know what I mean? So it's so much. I just feel like one of the things that I love what the young people are doing, but I don't feel like they're fully equipping themselves. And the way to me to have longevity moving forward is that you have the tools.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if there were certain tools or certain things that you could have studied, or, you still have, like, these kids still have the advantage to whether they go to school for something or whether they intern for something or whatever. Yeah. What would you
I say
them?
Intern over education, over traditional education, because there's nothing, trial by fire to me is everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You really can't. I mean, you can learn in a book. I don't want to spread no bad information, but I'm just saying, in my opinion, it's all about living and learning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's true. That's real game because,
it's like intern, like even when a lot of people didn't notice, like when I got my job at Violator in 2002,
Shout out to Chris Lighty.
Shout out to Chris, Mona, and Todd.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Chris. I didn't have a salary at Violator. They just gave me an office, gave me a title, gave me like a dope position so that I could position myself in the entertainment industry. But I was still throwing parties on the side, getting money sent to me because I understood the value of like being in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, back then it was really more so about like moving to New York and learning the industry. Now, not so much. It's more so like LA, I think, is more so kind of where you want to be. But no matter what it is, go and get in it. And work for free and learn the business. That's really what it's about to me.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant information. Now moving forward, let's talk, because I don't even want to go through the Kanye years. You managed Kanye. That's one of the things. Let's talk post Kanye. What was your journey post Kanye? Okay, Kanye's blowing up, superstar, this and that. You got to kind of rebuild.
Sure.
And that's what a real hustler does, right? You know what I mean? So walk us through some of that.
Yeah, so
walk us through the journey.
So when I quit working for Kanye in February of 2008,
you got a good ass memory too, man. I'm clueless.
Thank you. The first thing I did was this record called Looking Boy, and it was a Chicago record. It went platinum. It was like It was a one hit wonder, to be honest. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it was like, one of those things where I needed to hustle. I needed to bring in revenue. And I love the guys behind it. We were signed to Block Entertainment and Young Jock.
Okay. And, I remember Young Jock.
And it was a cool situation. And after that, I managed Busta Rhymes for close to a year.
Okay. I know Busta well.
Yeah, Busta's fam. I know you know him well.
Yeah, from the Aftermath years.
So I managed Busta for about a year, and then after that, I was doing a lot of promotions, and I was doing marketing consulting. I did like a bunch of stuff for like All Star, big All Star.
Now, were you still based in Chicago at this point, or you were in New York?
I was still based in Chicago.
Okay.
And then I started working with King Louis.
Gotcha.
And then Don.
That's where we reconnected.
That's when we reconnected.
Yep.
Yeah. And Kanye liked Louis and brought me to Paris, and we all hung out and we kicked it, and Louis got on the record on the Yeezy album. And that's when me and Ye kind of started talking again. We were supposed to.
So prior to that, you hadn't really talked to him?
I hadn't talked to Ye for a couple years. But when I brought the Louis thing around via Don, shout out to Don again. We reconnected, and Ye was like, "Yo, let's do some stuff again. I'm gonna put Louis on the album, and I want to do whatever." But it just wasn't the right time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think he was still trying to figure out how he wanted to move and who he wanted on his core team, and it just is what it is. Yeah. But it wasn't like a thing where it was shade. It just wasn't the right time.
Yeah.
So and then from then I was a small partner in a social media company called Feed, which was around for a little over a year and a half. We sold for some good money, and I moved to LA to take a position there, and then shortly after I got back with Ye and been consulting.
Yeah. Man, I love the story, man, because it's a real journey. Like, I think for those of us who have had longevity in this business, it has to be a journey.
Absolutely.
If
it's no ups and downs, it's not real.
It's not real. It's like a lottery ticket. And shout out to those who got the lottery ticket and just
shout out. I wish I could figure that out.
Yeah, you know what I mean? God bless you. But
God bless you.
These have been journeys. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I feel like we've been on a path, and I think that's an important lesson, is the resilience.
Right.
You know what I mean? That you're gonna get knocked down. You're gonna fall. You're gonna have successes. You're gonna have ups and downs. But don't get too high. Don't get too low. You know what I mean?
Just keep going.
Yeah, resilience.
That's the whole game.
I wanted to discuss going back into what I was saying, I was meeting a lot of young, like what I feel like I'm meeting a lot of young versions of you, right? So in 2020, I can, I'm speaking for myself on this one. I feel like it's the reinvention of Che, you know what I mean? And what's Che 2.0. Mm-hmm. So moving forward, and we talked about, all right, cool, you got the role with Ye and facilitating different things like that. But what's your core focus and what's your John Monopoly vision for 220 and beyond for you, your business, and your company?
One of the things is my label. I signed one act from the south side of Chicago.
What's the name of that?
97, singer-songwriter. I'm really excited about him.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You played me the songs. Fire.
Yeah,
Fire.
yeah,
Okay.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah, a little shout out to 97 on,
shout out to 97.
The Q&A promo,
exactly.
Hopefully, by the time we drop this, I can have a link for y'all.
Yes, please. Doing some stuff in the real estate space, just trying to create some other residual income for the family. I'm trying to get pregnant this year. Me and my wife are trying to get pregnant this year, so I gotta diversify my portfolio. Yeah. So, so some stuff in the tech space with a couple apps. Okay. Some stuff in the real estate space.
So really diverse.
My label, I'm
so really multiple income streams.
Yeah. Because I was told by multiple multimillionaires that the only way to become a millionaire is have multiple income streams.
Yeah. So me as well.
So so that's what we're trying to do. Helping my wife with her company.
Okay. I'm gonna start. By the way, my nickname. Shout out to Miata. Good luck with the pregnancy.
Thank you.
My nickname for Monop is Matt Lambo. You know what I mean?
That was such a crazy gift, bro.
Yeah. Just for those who don't know, just because I like giving my man had some blessings bestowed upon him yesterday. Tell me about the truck. Just tell me about.
So it was my birthday a couple months ago, and to be honest, man, I hadn't really spoken to Kanye in a while, but he popped up at my birthday party. It was a birthday dinner. It wasn't a party.
And that's the random thing. He just popped up, right?
He just popped up completely random.
Like, how did he even know?
He was like the first one there. I was like, yo, what are you doing here, bro? There's nobody here. Yeah. And he was like, okay, cool. We'll come outside. I got you a gift for you. Then I came outside. He gave me a Lamborghini, and it blew. I'm still, every day that I look at it, I'm still like, yo, do I have a Lamborghini? This is the coolest thing ever.
But that's the best way to jet into 220.
I know, right?
You know what I mean? Into into 2020. Now there's a couple of things, because now I want to use your OG status and all your wisdom, and I want to talk a number of things. So if you were a new artist in 2020, or you were representing a new artist, how would you launch that artist? There's all these different theories and strategies. You know what I mean? Everyone's telling me, oh, you should do this, you should do that.
I would focus on social media, YouTube promo ads.
Is radio still relevant?
Not terrestrial radio so much. I would put the money that I would put towards radio, I would more so put towards DSP playlisting and YouTube promo ads for a dope video.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. Yeah, well, but I don't think there's really a wrong answer. You know what I'm saying?
I guess it's wrong if it don't work, and if it's right if it do.
Yeah.
If it do. Okay. Now with that same, what would you tell a young, let's say, as a kid, we're speaking to a kid right now who's in high school, who knows he wants to be a music executive of some capacity. What would you tell him? Go find you an artist, or what would you say? Or you would say the internship. Which one?
I would say start with the internship, because you can learn information that you can apply to launching the artist.
Great. That's
what I would say.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. Now I want to take a step further.
Okay.
I didn't learn, and this was a mistake, and I've actually had a publisher in here. I've had a gentleman from CSAC in here on the show, because publishing to me is one of those mysterious areas of the music business. It's very mysterious. Yeah. How far in your career did you feel like you learned about publishing? Because for me, unfortunately, I had done some big records before I really learned. Before there was a woman named Karen Durant at Rondor Publishing, who really is the person who took the time to sit down and really teach me about publishing. But how long in your career, as a manager or an executive, did you feel like you really had a good grasp of publishing?
I think the first time that I even learned really anything real about publishing was from Angelique Miles when I did my first publishing deal for Spike and Jamal. We did this record "So Gone" for Missy Elliott and Monica.
Yep, love that record.
Yeah, that was like one of my first like big records that I placed, and it was interesting because Angelique was able to get us some okay money for a record that didn't really have any publishing on it because it was a sample.
Yep.
So and I didn't understand because I was like, well, yo, we're not gonna get no paper. This is what I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, she broke down how, like, because of the hype and this and the third, that she can justify. Like, she kind of, like, she broke it down how she can craft the situation to make it make sense. Mm-hmm. And I didn't understand that at first because I just assumed that because it was a 100% sample that there wasn't no paper for us.
So what year was this about?
2003. Okay,
so you had actually... at that point, technically speaking, been kind of in the business for almost a decade, or at least learn, you know.
Yeah, but I didn't. But publishing has always been like a mysterious.
Yeah, it still is.
It still is. You know what I mean?
I get kids who is major label artists at this point, and still what does this mean?
And when she came to me and was like, "Yo, we can get you guys some money," I was like, "No, you can't. There's no publishing. We don't have no publishing on this record." And she was like, "Yo, let me show you." And shout out to Angelique, man.
You still have a publishing company at this stage?
No, I don't. But we're in the process of putting different things together in place to get some of. I might be having a small publishing company in the very near future. Well, I'll just put it that way.
Okay, so keep so all you young writers and producers, you know what I mean. You better hit them up on. You got an Instagram?
Yes.
You better hit them up
John
on his
Monopoly at John Monopoly.
Yeah, you better get at him. At him. I want to, Why I got you, I'm definitely going to take my time with you. That's why I want to touch on a number of different things. I just think we came up in an era where obviously some people played the game in it massively, from the Jay-Z's to the Puffies, meaning wealth. And then, and then there's people along the way who did really well and figured out. And then there's people like, say, Mona, who transitioned into television, did well in the management space, transitioned into television. That was her Mona 2.0 and her longevity into it. Mm-hmm. Certain people have actually segued into other businesses. But a lot of people just fall off, right? They're no longer in the music business. They didn't make the money. They made money while they were in it, but they didn't make money to,
really sustain
themselves or try new businesses and so forth. So I wanted to talk about, to me, the entrepreneurial side of this, because we worked together for a bit of time at Good Music. Mm-hmm. And I talk about this a lot in terms of the major labels, because if you go into the major label structure, the majors, there's three majors, primarily three systems, which is Universal, Sony, and Warner. Sure. Warner's the only one that's independently owned. Each other are major corporations owned above it. Sony owns Sony. Vivendi owns Universal, which actually just sold 10% of it to Tencent. No pun intended. 10% to Tencent. But anyway, and less do you see the person of color in these majors in positions of power. That's the most politically correct way that I can say it. Shout out to Sylvia Rohn, who's the CEO of Epic. Shout out to Ethiopia, who's the head of Motown. Yeah. But other than that, I don't know, maybe I'm missing somebody. No. Outside of the artist owned or independently owned, meaning the Cash Moneys, the TDEs, the QCs, shout out to P & Co, shout out to Top. Where did the black executives go? How do you do it? How do you change that? How do we infiltrate it? Because hip hop is the number one genre in the world.
Sure.
So hip hop is making money. Streaming brought money back into the fold. How do we change the direction of what's going on?
I think just in general,
we're not even the heads of urban.
Nah, we're not. I think just in general, we have to promote.
Oh, shout out to, I'm sorry, I forgot. Shout out to my man, Tunji. RCA doing his thing. That's the one who built himself up through the system. So I don't want to forget Tunji. Shout out to Tunji.
Yeah, he deserves it too.
Yeah. But how you know, if you're John Monopoly and you're saying, okay, and I'm not saying this is your path because you're beyond that right now. You're full entrepreneur. But for the person who aspires to be that, who aspires to be this, maybe they're in a junior A&R position right now or an A&R position, how do they crack this system and crack the code?
Besides being persevering and working their way up,
yeah,
I don't think there is another way. I think
no shortcuts.
There are no shortcuts. You have to hustle. I don't know of another way to really break the system besides starting at the bottom and hustling all the way to the top. I don't think there is another way around it.
Yeah.
You know, you see guys like P and Coach, but it's like,
but they're outside the system.
They're outside the system.
They built it outside, you know.
Right.
And if you can do that, God bless you.
Yeah. But that takes a lot of money and a lot of time too.
Yeah. And most people don't have that. They don't have the ability to do that. They don't have, you know, those kind of, you know, obviously, and P and Coach are OGs, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So even though their success is now, they've really got 15, 20 years, you know, in it. You know?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's just tough just in general, man. I think it's either work your way through the system or work around it. But the best way is probably just to intern, work your way up, and just grind. There's really no other way to me.
I've always considered you the great connector. Your Rolodex is probably more crazy than anyone I know. Is that just innately, or was that a strategy?
That comes from being a promoter.
Okay.
When I started in high school, I had a red notebook, kind of like this big, of just everybody's names and numbers in the city, all the pretty girls, all the
everything
from the whole, you know,
the
what
hustlers
I mean?
in the play, you know,
all that, so that when it was time to activate a party, I could put, you know, a couple hundred people in a room through phone calls
and the right people.
I could kind of curate the list by, you know, picking the right numbers.
Yeah.
And that's just something I always stuck with.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So right there, that's a good lesson right there is, okay, you want to be a networker, you know, you gotta really, you know, seek that out. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? You have to build these relationships.
It has to be deliberate.
Yeah.
You can't just, you know, say, well, I'm going to write, you know, a couple hundred people, random people. You have to know who each person is. You have to dedicate them to memory. You have to actually work at it, you know?
All right. And before we conclude, I was in with Vic Mensa.
Vic Mensa, my man.
My man. We had a good session, and he's moving back to Chicago.
Is he?
Yeah, and it was really an eye-opening thing to hear and talk to an artist who, you know, because obviously most artists go the other way, right? They leave their home.
Yeah.
And he did that, I guess. He
did.
Moved to LA.
He moved to LA for a little while.
He moved to LA, experienced LA, and he realized home is where the heart is.
Sure.
Where his art is. Yeah. So not only home is where the heart is, but home is where his art is. And that's where
then he did the right thing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he moved back. And I'm doing a lot of business in Detroit, and I'm meeting all these local Detroit artists and this and that. How important do you feel is the relevance of, say, New York, LA, Atlanta, Miami? What is it? Can you stay where you're at and build from your base, or do you need to touch these cities? What do you think the importance of these cities are anymore? Obviously, when I came up, New York was everything.
Yeah.
Right? You know, it was all about getting to New York.
I think moving around is good, man, but staying grounded is where it's at. Like for example, the kid that I have signed, I appreciate him being in Chicago, working with the people that are around him that have already began to create his style of music and not separate himself from that. Sometimes you can leave a little too soon.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can leave a little too early.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've always
mess up
respected
the
Chance
flow.
for that. I've always respected.
I always respected Chance for that.
You know what I mean? Because I know how many people been in his ear.
Please, come on. You know how many people been in his ear?
Yeah.
Like, come to Hollywood, I'm sure. But yeah, I think it's probably good for Vic to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just really more thinking of like the new artists that feel like they gotta move here to make it.
You don't have to move nowhere. You just need to create good content. And now that everything's digital, just know how to put it out.
Yeah, I just saw a young Australian girl. There's this shout out to Tones and I that I'm going to be working with hopefully in the future. I just got put on to.
Oh, dope.
Young Australian girl who was a street artist. She was, and I didn't even know the term for this is busking. Were you familiar with this term?
What's busking?
Busking is the live performers that you see on the street performing. That's called busking.
Oh, okay.
So she quit her job 2 years ago and was busking. And now she has a song called Dance Monkey. It's about to hit 1 billion streams.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Really, and from Melbourne, Australia. So it just, to me, it really shows you could do it from anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, but I still meet a lot of artists who come to LA who just feel like, oh, I had to make it. And to some cases, there's a friend of mine, Goons the Garçon, who's from Arkansas, who last year signed to Def Jam.
Okay.
You know, but he's been grinding and he moved to LA and he feels like it wasn't possible from Arkansas. So he moved here 3 years ago. So there is an argument to that too, I guess. But I get that a lot though. I get hit up on my Instagram, you know, should I move to LA? And it's like, on one hand, I don't want to like, you know, it's like,
right.
You know, yeah, move to LA. And then you move to LA and you're in money and nothing happens. Yeah, you're broke and you're on the street or something.
You're twisted up.
Yeah, and I feel like I gave you bad advice. So you really feel like people can be where they're at and really make it happen.
I personally do, man. Like, but then again, you know, my whole thing was always doing it from Chicago. I only left because I wanted to learn more about the business. Yeah. But, you know, most of my successes have been really just from the city.
Yeah. And even now, you're still super connected to the city.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I want to talk to you, last but not least, before we leave, because I found this was a fascinating connection. Tell me about your relationship with advertising and the advertising agencies. You know, and you told me about this advertising agency you're in business with. And
well, there's a couple agencies in Chicago that I work closely with that I do consulting for. There was an agency that I connected Kanye with called Havas, and we did a bunch of business with last year.
Yep. How did you build that? That to me is just such a like. That's not a regular thing, you know. Yeah. You know, motherfuckers don't just have like,
it's
like,
so funny,
yeah,
man.
I'm in business with advertising. You know what I mean? That's some shit. That's some boss shit.
Yeah. So I became friends with the head of the agency, a guy named Jason Peterson.
Okay.
And shout out to Jason and Greg Weinstein. Shout out to Greg. We became friends through my boy Happy.
Okay. Yeah, I know Happy.
So we did a bunch of stuff. I connected them. This is exactly how it happened. Kanye, again, surprised me, not the last birthday where he gave me the Lambo, but the one before last, him and Kim surprised me at dinner at Matsuhitsu. And Jason and Greg happened to be at my dinner. So he sat next to Jason and Greg. I was like, yo, these are the guys I was telling you about. It was completely random, to be 100% honest. But
once again, that's that great connector.
The great connector. So he liked them. We did a bunch of business together. And then they left that agency. I have another agency now called The Times, and I do a lot of stuff with them. And they're just really smart guys. And I'm blessed. But there's a couple of agencies that I work with out of the city, but mostly The Times and Havas.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I credit you with just having bigger vision beyond just the music business, which is, to me, even, you know, success or failure, to me, is you're one of the people that had that real early. The other person is Stout, right?
Absolutely.
You know, Stout is one of, you know, love or hate Stout, you know what I mean? He still was brilliant enough to see that, you know what I mean? Stout was in management to music executive to advertising executive to advertising executive owner.
Right.
You know what I mean? However, the path is the journey, but he saw it first. You know what I mean? And so when when you started talking about that and being in that, it was fascinating to me. I'm like, how the fuck are you?
Yeah,
you know,
dude, it was so random, man. Like I just became friends with these guys, and they came to my birthday party, and then Ye popped up,
and then opportunity.
And I was already trying to put them with Ye. I had put them on the phone, but it just didn't connect at first.
Yeah.
But then when he got there, it just organically formed.
Yeah. And so that really turbocharged it, because you went from, you know, like talking to them and doing stuff with them to, okay, now we're doing some stuff.
Now we're doing some big stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that's it was really an exciting time.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Anything in conclusion you wanna share? Any
shout out to Don C, Happy, the whole crew.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Don C. That's my man, Happy. I just seen him too at a Complex Con. It was good to see the brother. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Help me launch 2020. We launching soon.
Okay.
So this will be, you know, in the new
okay.
batch, because we just launching. We've been recording some episodes.
Okay.
Just getting ready, and we're launching this. You know, I'm excited.
Dope, man.
To really
however
share.
I can support, man.
Yeah, you know, once again, this is the game. You can't Google this game. You know what I mean? You got to get it from the source.
That's right.
All right. Q&A with Che. Appreciate you, John.
My brother.
Love.